And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer. Week 6 is in full swing, and we got 4 more games. But before we get there, I do got to shout out our wonderful sponsor. It's CTBC Bank. Thank you so much for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, we are on Deep Cross Gaming versus Dewish Team. For the former, for Deep Cross. Wow, I tongue-tied myself there. It is still a lot on the line in terms of getting the wins because the standings very close at the top. For Dewish, they're out, but they could still wreck DCG's day like they did a few weeks ago.
Exactly. I think that's the most important thing here. DCG have to prove that they are not prone to very low lows. I think this has been a problem for the team. Some of their drafts, like the Belveth draft and the draft that they held up against a Dewish team, did seem quite vulnerable. And I will kind of talk over the way that some of these drafts don't work out for them. It's when they draft weak bottom lanes, when they have control mages in the mid lane, then that's where you see DCG kind of get ran over. The Seraphine pick was very much vulnerable, and we saw a very strong Samira bot lane coming out from Dewish Team the last time they met that just snowballed that lane and made it impossible to play. The thing about these bruiser comps that DCG likes to play with is they have to stay ahead. If they fall behind, they don't have the raw stats and power to just push through these team fights.
Yeah, and we saw them get punished, even by the side of Dewish Team. I think Deep Cross, you talked about low lows. It's definitely a very wide gap on their best days and worst days, and I think they would love to get back to the winning ways for sure. Right now, doing pretty well in the standings, all things considered. With PSG losing, it's actually a dead heat in that first place race between them, CFO, and PSG Talon. Well, a win here, I mean, it's the softest of softballs if you're thinking about it, just in terms of the win-loss. But obviously, it's not that simple. Dewish already beat them once. So in a weird way, I feel like the pressure's even higher.
For sure, and I think Deep Cross Gaming, this is a good test to them because I'll be honest, this is a team, this is a roster that has been known to be good in regular split, but to not do much in postseason. That's kind of been the stigma with Hana and Nesty as well. Now that the pressure is up, they have to prove that they deserve to be viewed as contenders.
Yeah, and for a team that doesn't have the pressure, they are knocked out of the playoff race, but it doesn't mean they can't still have a good time. It is going to be Dewish Team, or the artist formerly known as Hurricane, formerly known as Alpha Esports. Take your pick, but they do have some changes, of course. Lakune up in the top side, especially WSL. In their last bout, actually had a pretty solid Trundle game, and Xiao had a solid LeBlanc. So they definitely have some upside here. Not to mention Bang 2 and Enhao, who last split were some of their best players.
They were actually very close to winning the game. I think that it was a bit of an unfortunate throw yesterday when we saw them drop down. And again, I think this is a team that is going to play more towards the tempo side, more towards the Sivir type of rundown composition that you've seen. They do like to play with things like LeBlanc and Zoe coming out from Xiao, and the Trundle and the Lease, those early game picks, even the Lee Sin for WSL. So they're definitely a fun team to watch. I would say their weaknesses fall very much in the same category as MFT, where a lot of times their team fight setup leaves a lot to be desired. They do throw team fights kind of weirdly in situations. So we'll see if they get a good early game strategy. That's almost the most important thing for Dewish Team.
Yeah. Now, we've been comparing top lanes a fair bit today, as we did last time around with the rookie and the sophomore. We're doing the same thing here, but the tables have turned a little bit, and that Leaky in the more experienced role has been looking a lot better. He was definitely a big highlight of spring, and he has certainly not let up here in the summer split, doing a significant amount of his team's damage. Obviously, the numbers will be a little skewed on any roster that has, you know, somebody like Nesty on it. But at the same time, Lakune, he came in, we were expecting maybe not some incredible things, but definitely looking forward to seeing what this young player could bring, and has been a little bit of a mixed bag. Not been able to get serious laning leads, but has had a handful of standout performances.
We think what's fair to say for Lakune is that he has a very wide champion pool. We've seen stuff from the Shyvana. Definitely willing to be kind of a toolkit for the team. But in terms of raw laning state, the stats definitely prove your point. I would say he's definitely categorized as below average. So Dewish Team typically does not try to play through his lane. They have him playing very defensive setups. Usually stuff like Ahri, the Gragas that can survive earlier on. And as we take a look into the draft, the most important thing here is DCG understand that Jewish team are all about the snowball. So they take away both the Samira and the LeBlanc that have been deadly to their bottom laners.
Just ban what beats you, forehead. It's an easy strat. But with Poppy left open, Hana gets his hands on it, so we will see the Poppy unlocked. And on the Jewish team side, of course, they ban the Kalista, they ban the Sylas, they ban the Yuumi, kind of just going a bit roundabout. It's a little bit more general, I feel. Deep Cross, though, you want to talk about deep champion pools. This is a team that definitely has a lot of depth to them as well. Nesty, you never know what he's going to pull out. Azir going to be locked early on for Zhao2. It'll make his third on the split. And ooh, okay, you're playing with my heart a little bit there, WSL. But yeah, Zeri left open for Bang 2. I think that would be a solid choice. You don't want to give that to Kriskata.
This feels like Jewish team doing a PSG impression. And, I commend them for it. It's, if Azir is open, let's get Azir. If Zhao2 is generally considered our best player, then why not give him the tools to actually be our main playmaker as well? You get both the late game hyper carries, and it makes DCG's job a little bit difficult here because they first picked the Poppy, which is more of a defensive pick. And if you look at Azir and the Zeri out, Poppy doesn't have a lot to do here. Poppy would much rather be engaged in these situations where, you're not going to be out damaging this backline and you have to chase him down.
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting setup in the draft, too, with the Lucian Nami coming in for DCG. They're going to be trying to take it to Bang 2 and Enhao early game, which could be a big win condition for them, but Hana definitely going to be a little frustrated by some of the things he won't be able to do as effectively now with this Azir and Zeri AD. Lulu joins in as well, so if they can survive out the laning phase, that is a very powerful combination to try and get some hyper carry potential out of Bang 2.
And I think the bans here from Jewish team are absolutely on point. There isn't a champion left here that gives Nessie an easy way to roam down to the bot and get a tower dive here with the Poppy and the Lucian Nami. So right now, DCG are actually put in a pretty difficult position. I feel like their game plan is still to go for a mid-game oriented and just objective brawly sort of situation where they take Jewish team out before the Zeri and the Azir ever come online. But it's going to be hard to do. I don't really know what Nesty has in store in the champion pool. I feel like the next big pick for him would be the Swain.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about roaming, there is always the Galio potential to come through. I feel like they're going to be a little short on damage if that happens. We'll see. WSL offering a very aggressive pick and locks it. The Kazakhs coming through. Interesting.
I love this one. I think this one's great against Lucian because Lucian typically does try to charge at you, and if you just sidestep a little bit, you can use that jump, you go invisible, then Lucian's going to take that damage. There's almost no way that he gets out.
Whoa.
Great pick here. Oh,
okay, so the Ahri in and of itself is not like the craziest pick, right? But Nesty has not played at this split. Nesty's not an Ahri player in this summer split, but here we go.
I almost forgot about that completely. Very interesting. He did play it in spring, so I know he does have the champion in his pocket. Not massively surprised here, but DCG, if you look at this composition, it actually has pretty narrow win conditions. This is all about charging in the mid game, finding your damage there, or else if you go into the late game, I don't think your front line does anything for you because your front line is not going to be used to tank. You actually need your front line to engage and chase down the Azir and Zeri.
I love this composition the Jewish team have built. Let's be honest, they do not have any stakes. They cannot make playoffs at this point, but they can absolutely make sure Deep Cross don't get the seeding they want. They got a Mordekaiser up top for Lakunai into the Sejuani of Leaky. WSL is going to go hunting on the Kazakhs. Zhao2 snags the Azir. They get the Zeri for Bang 2 and even the Lulu to get a little bit of a chanter beefiness there for them. I really love this. This is just a fun composition, and even if they go down, it'll be swinging.
This comp is built to kill Lucian. Like, there's not much that Lucian can do in these type of team fights. He goes up, you have that Kazakhs just behind you, and if he goes into auto attack range, that's instantly going to be taken into the depths realm, and the main damage is gone. If you look across the board, DCG are already running a comp with not enough damage built in here. So if one of them just gets picked off, and I think it's almost impossible to avoid in a straight 5v5 to get Lucian killed, it's going to be hard to finish the fight here. So I really like what DWT team did. Their first rotation was so smart, and it really punished the Poppy pick here. Poppy, a great defensive pick, but doesn't really help you when you need to charge into the enemy comp.
Yeah, this is it's a really fun adaptation from DWT team. I think it is too bad that some of this stuff is coming when it's a little bit too late for them to make a difference for playoffs, but I do appreciate that they're going to be giving us one heck of a show, trying to deny the utility of this Poppy that has been quite ubiquitous, especially on this patch across the world. DCG are going to have that narrow win condition. I think the big test for them in this game is going to be how well they execute on it, because we've seen the gulf between DCG on a good day and the deep cross of when they have a bad day. And last time they met DWT, it was definitely the latter. So maybe they can right the wrongs. Maybe they can find those wins. Maybe they can just hands diff DWT team. But it won't be easy. They've set themselves up a tough task.
You know, anything's definitely possible here. I will say there's a couple tools that I don't really think line up all that well. First off is the bottom lane. You know, Nami Lucian, great burst damage, but Lulu does cancel out a lot of that. And one strength of Lulu is that she does have a lot of wave clear for an Enchantress. So it's going to be hard to find those situations for DCG to get the tower dive that we see so often with the Poppy coming in. That's one thing. And the other thing is scaling. Definitely not on their side. Scaling much stronger on the side of DWT team. So, like you said, it might come down to ID diff at the end of the day. DCG still, you know, much talented roster. But DWT team, I want to commend Sen once again. Throughout this split, he has given us some of the best draft. He's very consistent with his drafts. He knows what he's doing. He always finds a win condition for his team. And I feel like he's an incredibly underrated coach coming into this season.
Absolutely. And you know, I think I want to give DWT team some credit as well, because like you look at where they are in the standings and it'd be easy to just say, yeah, you know, of course they've changed names, but they're still having a lot of the same problems. They're still not coordinating. I think this team has grown. I think they have developed. And yeah, the results haven't necessarily shown in it all the time, but they have beaten a number of teams that I don't think we expected. They took a game off Frank Esports. They have one of their 2 wins was against this very squad, Deep Cross Gaming, and they did it in a very stylish fashion. They actually didn't beat Sem9, the team below them. So, you know, they could correct that tomorrow potentially, as they will have a rematch, but that's just the thing. Like, DWT team, I feel like have gotten better. It's just unfortunate that other teams have gotten better alongside them, as far as they're concerned.
I want to make a comparison, and that is this DWT team would have been a 5th place team in spring. I'm not making this up. I think they're better than last year's MFT, and last year's MFT was 6th place. So, you know, take it what as you will. I feel like
it's a bold take.
It's just the league itself has gotten so much better, so much more rapidly. DWT team, definitely a huge step forward, but just not enough. If we're looking at this level 1, this could potentially be disaster right here. DCG on the top side, we're not even spotted. So Hana is going to get a very comfortable spot where he doesn't have to run into the Kazakhs.
Yeah, that's actually a really nice adaptation. But let's talk a little bit about this Kazakhs, because we don't often get to see the Void Bug. So talk me through this early game that WSL is going to want to do. It probably is going to be a little slowed down by that Red Buff steal.
So I think this isn't the first time that WSL has gone for these super risky assassins. I like the idea here because it's just a champion that can pump raw damage onto Lucian and kill him very easy. There's not a whole lot that Lucian nearly takes out. And
what was that about negating damage? He's going to have a lot to deal with. I mean, Woody and Kriskata are a fantastic bot lane too. Like something we didn't even really talk about in our pregame is just how deadly these two are. Like Kriskata, I still maintain he was, if it weren't for Shun, best AD carry rookie of the split.
Absolutely.
But that's, you know, a whole nother story. WSL is here down on the bottom side for the level 3 Kazakhs gang. Now the red dash forward into the exhaust. Bang 2 turns around. Let's see if they've got the damage. Here comes WSL. They see it. They need that Aqua Prison to land. He flashes immediately. Tastes some fear. And, ooh, a nice body block. The minions doing extra work. And here comes Hana now. Says it's my turn.
Yeah, no isolation damage here being taken by Kriskata, so he's able to walk out just completely fine here. Good attempt, and they do get multiple flashes. So this is super important. I feel like this is a massive win for DWT team because the most important win condition for DCG is they need to snowball bot lane. If they don't snowball bot lane, they're kind of just dead. So
Fairly telegraphed too.
yeah, playing without summoners, big question marks on DCG and how they can execute this.
Okay. Ooh, taking a little bit low here against Leaky. That's dangerous. Playing without health bar, yeah, he gets out. You're right though. Yeah, not having the summoners does mean that the repeat gank is very much a possibility to trade a little bit more efficiently as well. Worth pointing out too that the ignite and the heal swapped. Lucian, Nami, I love it. Aggressive plays, aggressive decisions.
And WSL is going to find this blue buff. I will say he's very far behind in the camp departments. I can tell that 3 camps behind already. But Hana doesn't not going to spawn him.
Yeah, that's actually really lucky for WSL. Maybe less lucky for Xiaotu though. He's a little bit low. Eats the charm. Oh, and it looks like it's too easy. Steadfast presence. He just walks in to deliver first blood to Nesty.
Yeah, there was no way he was going to get out. I like that he held on to the flash right there. With the red buff being applied, he was a dead man. He knew that too. So just going to teleport back into lane.
All the same. Nice rotation by Hana. He is going to realize that he gave up a couple of camps in exchange for that as he walks through. And, uh-oh. The bamboozle.
There's the bug.
No. Well, at least he's got his Mark Wolf as well. So, juggle a little bit, trade back and forth. WSL going to have a lot of pressure to try and make the play. And, ooh, look at that. Hana knew exactly where WSL must be based on that info. Question mark pings on the Krug camp immediately.
A good timer is being collected right there, so this should mean that Leaky is completely fine. And looking at this bot lane, this is what I was worried about. The Lulu versus Nami matchup actually favors the Lulu in most instances because Lulu can just shove you in, and you have Bane 2 already with the Vamp Scepter, which means that unless you all in him, he can just kind of sit the wave, shove it in again, and just heal up over and over again. Very easy way to play this. So if Jewish team, they just have vision in the bot side, and they keep Nesty in lane, they can safely scale up. That's a pretty solid game plan for them.
Yeah. I think it's nice. I mean, yeah, they wanted to try and stop the snowball or maybe make one of their own with WSL, but they still have a lot of late game potential. I think the struggle might be if Lacunite gets the bad end of another trade there, but oh my goodness, what a wallbang flash from Hana, delivering another kill to Nesty. All right, all of a sudden you got to start looking out for, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the snowballing Nesty Ari?
Yeah, that
felt weird.
That's gonna be a big one right there. I love the way that that Hana actually played that one out. He held the steadfast presence. That means you can't use the E. So Xiaotu doesn't even attempt to use the E first. He's trying to walk out, and then you see Hana just flash in. A lot of mind games being done right there. Really nicely played. Either way, Xiaotu was in a bad position. He either had to burn a preemptive flash, and still most likely be chased down right there, or he was just going to run into a steadfast presence and get knocked up.
Oh,
Hana
no.
seems to really like this spot. He likes his chicken.
Oh boy. All right. Setting up a tent in this mid lane, although Leaky is going to be coming in as well.
Xiaotu, come on.
Xiaotu, 1v3, Glacial Presence, Steadfast Presence, no chance. Tries to get the Emperor's Divide. He actually gets away. Fool me once, fool me twice. The third time. Oh no, he stayed. The autos. Oh, he's gonna. Oh.
He's fine. He's fine.
He's fine. He's fine. Whew. I'm sweating it. Xiaotu. Gotta be safe, man.
Little bit unfortunate. Hana actually pulled the trigger too quickly on the E there, so he doesn't get the second stun, and it was just a reposition. Ideally, he could have let Strani hit the crowd control and then look for the wall bang. A little bit of crowd control overlap there. It does allow Xiao to walk out. Realistically, he should have been a dead man. I'll be just completely honest there. That was more about execution, mishaps on DCG side rather than Xiao 2.
Down bottom, what's happening there?
He's getting the racks here.
They get spotted on the ward. Okay. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Chris Scott and Woody, they're pushing in so deep, they're just dirty farming. So, Enhao and Bang 2 have to back off. They know that there's a huge amount of pressure. But if they don't give up a kill here, WSL's actually started off on this Herald, but wait, Enhao and Bang 2, they go forward again, eating a culling. Here comes the Poppy. Steadfast Presence, they get a little extra hits, but not enough for the execution, not close enough for the wallbang. Xiaotu gets charmed as he was backing, not even in vision. I think it was just a pure guess by Nesty there, and he's going to get the solo kill. WSL can't get there to help him.
Definitely was a educated guess. He had the ward in the backside. He knew he probably was going over to a river. So WSL, I feel like this Herald was way too costly. He showed himself topside, so DCG instantly go for the 3-man tower dive. Bang2 and Enhao are now behind a full level, and they haven't been able to farm. They also gave up 3 plates. And then you also had Xiaotu dying mid. So I really don't agree with WSL's play here. I feel like the Herald was way too costly in this situation.
Thinks he's playing Belveth, man.
True. They are both from the Void.
They are. You know, it's they could be related. I don't want to make any assumptions one way or the other. Here's the replay. Nesty. Yeah. Okay. So he actually.
No, he didn't have vision of that.
No, that's just global. Okay, yeah, no, it was a really good guess actually. Nesty just game sensed that. Yeah, no chance there. WSL is just way too late. Doesn't want to give up. He could have gotten soloed as well. I mean, Nesty's very far ahead. This is really weird to see because he hasn't really played Ahri all summer. He had played it in spring, but he was even then not really known for like a snowballing kind of pick. But Hana's just camped his lane out. I think they've identified that Xiaotu has problems with playing around vision, it seems.
Yeah, I think Xiaotu he shoves out a lot of times when he has no wards on his left or right side. It feels like the coordination between him and WSL definitely off. WSL not really covering for him. And DCG, it's so weird because I feel like if Jewish team just didn't make any moves, they would have been better off. But the Herald play and now the tower dive feels a bit inevitable. It's just, I think WSL should not have shown himself. The implied threat of him being off the map was so much greater than just doing a solo Herald. Like, they lost so much tempo, they lost so much gold. There's no way this Herald is ever going to be worth it here. And they also gave the snowball to Nesty. Now Nesty can just roam bot lane and also get the Lucian fed.
It's going to be the Dragon start here for Deep Cross 2. A little bit later in this game, and they really haven't needed to focus on those objectives, so the Hextech will go over, uncontested. 11 on the clock now. WSL spotted but jumped on immediately, and what was he even doing there? He should have been able to see them coming a mile away.
Yeah, the positioning was weird. I feel like WSL thought he was in the brush, but he really wasn't in the brush. So he gave up great positioning, easy find, and now Nesty is on the roam.
Oh, Glacial Prison does go a little bit wide. However, Nesty should be able to close this one. They use the charm out to the right, and Lacune just doesn't move. Kind of counter predicts it there. They still should be able to get the kill. Took a little while as Nesty was forced to pop his stopwatch. And here we go again. A familiar scene down bottom looking for the Poppy dive. Enhao and Bang2 are going to be clinging for life here as they do spot the Poppy. No wall bang, do turn it around, but this tower is not long for the rift.
Yeah, we do see the Herald being popped the other way out of necessity, just down the mid lane here.
Oh, lightning crash into it. They just actually get the bang into the tower, but Hana, he goes too deep. The tower falls a little late. Now WSL on the charge with Bang2 and Enhao just behind. They can probably turn this one around. The double kill, the triple kill, and all of a sudden, Jewish team has a Fed Zeri.
What was that? That was... Oh, Okay, this is either the most impressive fake out that we have seen, or it's just DCG just kind of inting. One of two possibilities, and it could be both.
Why can't it be both? Why can't it be both? I feel like they full sent it here. Hana really wanted this kill.
Yeah, he took a lot of damage coming through the first time already. You know, he took a tower shot here. And let's see if he actually lands the crowd control. You know, Bang2 actually just gets out of the Nami wave, and Hana chooses the worst moment to re-engage. Wild Growth saves Bang2, WSL comes in, Friscata has to run. And I think what happened right there is DCG, because they saw the Herald mid lane, they knew it was on WSL, they didn't expect him to arrive there so quickly. They thought WSL must have been around mid.
That's the difference, right? Like the threat of the Cosmic, but also I do think it was a good fake out, but I also think Deep Cross tunneled super hard on that kill. So as it stands, they still have a gold lead. They still have the gold lead, but they give over enough to complete that Immortal Shield bow first onto Bang2. Meanwhile, the swap comes back up top. This is a 2v3 with Nesty here. They flash away from the charm. They're gonna be able to reset though.
Yeah, this is the magic of WSL. He has the worst early games of any jungler.
Give
And
it
then
to
he
take it.
comes back and saves it all. It's so beautiful to watch.
His portrait is on screen right now. You got to look into those eyes. Those are the eyes of a stone cold killer. You cannot predict what this man will do.
Absolutely. He is so stoic in his approach to the game. He is unperturbed by losing lanes, by losing flashes early on. He will do what WSL does. It's so weird, but he catches people off guard so often in his games. It's really fun to watch.
It also feels like he's untiltable, too. You were talking about how he's stoic. Like, I feel like if you're on a team that is usually down very low in the standings and has been for some time, like, it's very valuable to have that, like, rock-solid mental. Because you can just rally and come back in these unexpected situations. Tower does fall up top, so Deep Cross are able to eventually get rid of it. Duish team can't hold on to it. WSL, this is probably not a red you want to fight over, but then again, Lacune is here to close the trap. We're going to get a full-on 5v5. WSL just take a full face of culling, and that is going to be him out of this one. Unanswered, Nesty looking for something himself, just land the charm into the Orb of Deception combination onto Zhao2. Woody taking out some Kazari damage, but I don't think Dushim are just up yet, and Lacune gets hit mostly vertically as Bengtu gets charmed up for days. Deep Cross, they're looking for more here on the reset now. Lacune isolated, and that's the double kill for Nesty. Snowballing on the Ahri, looking for the triple himself. Charm doesn't land, but doesn't matter. They still will be able to pump the damage into the Azir. Not enough to finish the job.
Oh, Duish team had an opportunity to swing that fight, but Bengtu walks point blank right into a charm. Just dies. He's the most fed member, and they lose the team fight straight afterwards. So, you know, DCG with a much better engage plan. They come from different angles. WSL, what can I say? I don't think.
Don't praise him anymore.
Was a good idea.
You praise him, something bad will happen, like this.
Yeah. So that's one member down, one ultimate down. Bengtu tries to go for the heroics, and he nearly makes it work here. Lacune does a good job with his angle of attack, but unfortunately here, look at Bengtu. This is just inexcusable. He just walks to his death here. Doesn't get any of the auto attacks down. What they were looking to do was to probably chase down onto the Poppy, and Lacune actually had a pretty good ultimate, canceling the Keeper's verdict to make sure they could chase.
Oh my goodness, we're right back into it, and all of a sudden, I didn't see the setup happen here, but Lacune going to be popped down, in goes the tower as well. Deep Cross Gaming, I think they've realized the switch can be flipped. Charm does land onto the Lulu. Enhao gets blown to smithereens. Talk about the burst damage coming out of the Lucian Nami. That's kill number 10.
People forget that Nesty actually plays Ahri. I forgot for them the entirety of the split, and now he shows it. That gives them something to think about if you go into the postseason against DCG. It's not just about the Talia, it's also about the Ahri.
Yeah, and he's just doing so well this game. I mean, it was great setup early for Hana, just taking advantage of just the positional difference that Zhao2 was presenting constantly, allowing Nesty to get a few kills. Snowballs that, of course, on this Ahri now has a 13-stack Medjay Soul Stealer. We're two out of 3 on Medjays today, Clem, and I don't know what that says about these games.
Bengtu, you're spotted. Bengtu, please.
Okay. Zeri is a very mobile champion, but that doesn't mean a thing if you get CC'd for days.
Yeah, Bengtu, you really need to step back. If you look at the map, the mid jungle is setting up a death brush in the top lane. This is not when you want to poke your head out too far in mid. So, you know, they finally do realize their predicament, and Duish team, I love this for Duish team, when they're behind, they always go for the 2-man death brush. They have the Shanghai connection, these two players, they're, you know, connecting overseas, and they just go into a lane, someone waits in a brush. I have to say, it's actually worked out a lot of times, more times than I would bother to admit.
Probably more times than it honestly should, but yeah, you know, hey, if it does, don't knock it. As DCG will be able to knock down the Rift Herald for themselves. 18 minutes in the game. They're also building that Drake stack. We haven't really talked about it, but the Infernal will be sole point coming up in about 3.5 minutes. So in terms of objectives, really favoring what Deep Cross can do. And after that oopsie, I want to say, down bottom, Bengtu is looking better than Kriskata, but it's flipped back and around, right? Yeah. Kriskata gets a handful of kills himself, and all of a sudden, well, he was in the item deficit. Now he's the first to 2 items with the Collector completed.
So DCG are going for full burst at this point. You know, they're not even trying to play a late game. They do have the gold lead to go for this anyway. They're 6,000 gold ahead. So the question here is, how do DWT team actually stall this one out? I feel like WSL actually did a very smart thing, which is he went for the Void rack. Enhancement here as Lacuna.
Hold on a second. Okay. So they get the wall bang, but it doesn't really do all that much, and the Poppycopter gets reset. Lacuna, they actually have the chase down here. The teleport going to be forced on both sides. Here comes Nessie over the wall. Doesn't land the charm into Bang2. However, Lacuna going to be left for dead here. They have to get something out of it. The Glacial Prison goes down, and even though they thought they had the turn, they lose Lacuna and Enhao, and the charm once again into the wall bang. Knocks, bops, locked and loaded, and everybody's going to town. Hana will lose his own life, but DCG still trade out better.
The most critical thing here is they actually kill the jungler, so there is no chance for a fast Baron Bay playing to. Close.
It'd be a very fast Baron if it came down. We're still 35 seconds away.
True.
From it spawning on the Rift. The Cross are playing fast and loose right now.
Yeah, but they should be able to get this tower. WSL, I think, very cleverly did go for the spike racks, which gives you a massive slow against isolated targets. I think it's a 90% slow. So he could just play around the outskirts here, force everyone to cancel their backs. And oh, there we go.
Yep, I was wondering. He had the vision. He had to know it was going down. That's what a Kha'Zix can do.
Fun times. We'll watch this again. DWT team actually get a good find onto Cascada here, but they're not able to finish off the kill. See Lacuna going for Woody. He wastes 2 ultimates, which does give WSL a great opening into the fight here. But unfortunately, Bang2 isn't able to finish off after Nesty comes from the top side.
Whoa!
Why was he there?
I don't know. And then how? He's going to go down too. Nesty looking for more of the wild growth popped on himself. And oh, Nesty, he sees the kill. He wants the kill. He won't get it though. Not that one anyways.
DWT team, you guys really need to play the 1-3-1 a little bit more laid back, especially when Xiaotu is taking tower by himself here.
Bang2's got to stop face checking, man. He went right back to the scene of the crime where he knew that his top laner had just died. Yeah, this is going to be Baron.
WSL has to jump over. He doesn't have a flash to make it there.
There's a Sejuani. There's Sejuani in front. Lacuna, this is actually not going that fast.
Kill.
They will land in the charm, but yeah, that's going to be the combo. He didn't even get a chance to really do much. There's an opportunity for a steal, but Leaky doing a great job of body blocking. Xiaotu trying to get something for his trouble
here.
Also going
to try.
He maybe has it in. He's gotten charmed for days in the wave. He's going to be waving goodbye to that Baron buff. Took a while for Deep Cross, but they secure it on 5.
Really good setup from DCG. You know, they have Leaky across the board. Great pinpoint accuracy on Nesty. Once again, he lands the charm.
Nesty with the outplay on Xiaotu. I don't think that Sun Disc is a very fun disc. Nesty dashing around the sides, Spirit Rushes and flexes on Xiaotu.
Nesty just making all the correct plays right here. We're going to get a recap of what happened to Bang2. Looks like it was Enhao face checking here. He had the body block for Cascada, which left him in a bad position. But Bang2, okay, it's time. All right, that's inexcusable. I'm sorry.
No. What are you doing? What are you doing, Bang2?
There was no reason to stay around. He already saved his.
Oh, calling! Cascada! Pops the Lulu
Wild
into the Shelly charge.
Didn't even come through.
You know, this. I was wondering why this felt so weird to watch, and I'm not just talking about Nesty's Ahri. This feels weird because ever since the durability patch, I'm not expecting health bars to pop that fast.
Definitely not. Wow. Enhao didn't expect that either. The Collector caught him off guard there. And WSL trying to cut the wave.
Isolation damage works the other way, my friend. You're the one who's isolated. Oh boy, that's going to be another push in. 18 kills to 5. DWT team. This game has gotten out of hand fast. Bang2 had an opportunity with a misplay by Deep Cross and overforce down bottom early on, but it's been squandered. DWT team still find the fights every now and again, but they just are getting bursted way too fast. Poppycopter wind up, Hana won't take it.
Well, DCG, you know, I think they can just take Infernal here, play it super slow and safe. They have a massive gold lead at this point. Just play the objectives on the rest of the map, and I don't see how DWT team really approach this. The problem with DWT's composition is once they don't have anyone that can face check, they're relying on Agent WSL to get the job done. The map control is purely on the cockroaches.
Yeah.
Well,
he was able to do it on Trundle last time against the team, but it was a very different set of circumstances. This is starting to look a little rough, and I think Deep Cross they have to be feeling good about how this game has gone, not just because they got the kills on priority targets, not because they had everything worked out, but because their execution has been good, but for a couple of mistakes. And I think those are the types of mistakes you learn from. This is one of those wins where you'll still take away a good amount from the tape, right? They have to close it, but they are well on their way.
I just don't think that DWT team expected DCG to actually perma-gank Nesty. Like, that has not shown up on any of their replays or their
No, it's usually the opposite. Nesty usually doesn't stay in lane at all.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
So, DWT team, Shout 2 giving over 3 kills early on Nesty, I think a big part what blew the game open. And then, I would say, I feel like WSL would have been better served.
Oh, gets slammed.
Goodbye.
WSL gets popped. Bug splat. The only kind you want to see in a game of League of Legends. 24, almost 25 minutes. DWT team down. One member. Bang 2 forced to flash away. The dash and just bursted through him. And they're just dropping like flies at this point. Lacune, he can take a little bit longer, but I don't think he's taking anyone with him to the death realm. Deep Cross just staggering on that, and they burst it out. And how about that? A 10th kill in this game, I believe.
Oh boy,
that's going to be Shout going down. Criscata finding the legendary, and they're just having fun with this one. Deep Cross Gaming, they may have lost the last time against Dewish, but they will not make the same mistake twice. At 25 minutes, Dewish team, they're going down in Deep Cross Gaming. How about a nice sip of Nest tea?
A full stack Najais to boot right there. Good execution from DCG. They ganked Shout 2 so many times. They win the bot lane handily off just knowing where WSL is on the map and applying pressure on the other side. There's a couple things that I feel like DWT team could have done to just keep themselves in the game much longer. And it's just the Herald play early. Like, if they didn't go for the solo Herald on top lane that wasted so much time, I felt like bot lane would have been fine, and they would have been able to scale up much later. In the other cases, we just saw team fights where DWT team honestly just got outplayed a little bit. Bang 2, he got caught out 3 times that were completely unnecessary deaths, in my opinion. There's this one time in mid, he was just walking about, he dies. The second time in team fight, he goes head first into a charm, dies, and then we saw another where he was trying to cover his support, dies again, and that just I hate to say it, but you know, Bang 2, I felt like he just gave away way too much tempo to DCG.
I think we saw for a number of individuals, like a lot of the mistakes were on an individual level from the DWT team side. I think we really saw that there is just sometimes lacking map awareness. Whether it's Shout 2 not playing well around, not putting vision down, pushing his wave too far forward and knowing that he could be ganked. Whether it's Bang 2 just running around the map when he doesn't have eyes on the rest of the team. And even early game, like WSL had a pretty good impact at this one, but he let himself get 3-buffed, basically, and didn't really have much he could do early on and got denied, got set a little bit further behind than he would have liked. I think that this is one of the biggest issues for this squad. It's not so much always communication, because I do think they've improved on that. It's the fact that they're not always aware of what's happening on the map, and teams like Deep Cross that always come in with a game plan can take advantage of that.
It feels like there are just, 5 disparate fingers, and they're not really connected to a palm. They're just kind of floating around in mid-air, and their laning phase has a lot to be desired from. So, I hope DWT team don't lose their spirit. They can continue to improve. I feel like they're making a solid stride in the commitments that they've had to their player. And once again, I would say that DWT team have massively improved. They'd probably be almost 6th or 5th last split in spring, but this split, different times, everyone's gotten better. They need to catch up as well.
Yeah, they certainly need to do quite a bit of work. They may be out of playoffs for this time, but they can certainly learn a lot and move forward to their last game tomorrow. For Deep Cross Gaming, though, this is definitely a much better look and a very different look. Who knew? Nesty Bestie on this Ahri, a throwback from spring. I mean, he's a player that just plays so many different champions, so many strange and sometimes unorthodox picks that seeing him on the Ahri and getting fed, of all things, it's no surprise that he wins the MVP award.
The crazy thing to me is that his charms just don't miss. He was so good on the charms all game long. He didn't really feel like a first-time Ahri player to me at all this split. And that's always the most important thing about the Ahris. You know, we've seen Ahri players all over the board, but a lot of them cannot find those kisses whatsoever.
No, and that does make the difference, but also set up, he can be an absolute terror to deal with when he gets fed. We often think of Ahri more of a utility champion, but certainly can be the assassin when needed.
Good reset combinations. Now DWT team has leapfrogged over the group. Now
Oh boy. We'll see if they can hang on to it. We are going to go on break, but as we're getting to the halfway point, we will be right back with Sem9 versus Beyond Gaming. Don't go anywhere.